Coco Gauff explains why she didn't compete in US Open mixed doubles. Coco Gauff was one of the notable omissions from the star-studded US Open mixed doubles competition. Coco Gauff begins her quest for a second US Open title this week as the 21-year-old looks to add to her French Open title earlier this year. The world number 3, who claimed victory on home soil back in 2023 against Aryna Sabalenka, faces off against Ajla Tomljanovic. Gauff is among the favorites this time around but will have to overcome Sabalenka again, as well as Iga Swiatek. Her preparations for this year's tournament have differed from most of her fellow players, having opted out of the revamped mixed doubles competition. It comes as Gauff explained her decision to split with her coach on the eve of the tournament. Gauff reached the final of the women's doubles with Katie McNally back in 2021 but decided not to join the likes of Emma Raducanu and Carlos Alcaraz in signing up this time around. Sara Errani and Andrea Vavasori ultimately defended their crown as the only recognized doubles pairing in the 16-team event. Explaining her decision, Gauff said, "I definitely watched it. I did have some FOMO. I love mixed doubles, and I did the one-set format last year with Ben, which was really fun. I just had so much sponsor stuff this week, so I was just like I knew from the beginning that it wasn't going to be a possibility for me. I'm someone who likes to win, and I'm locked in if I'm doing something. I knew I would try to be as locked in with that. I thought it was really cool and it was great to see the mixed doubles get the recognition that it needs. And yeah, I definitely think the format was great, but I definitely think for next year there can be some changes maybe with the entry, just allow more doubles specialists to compete. But I definitely think there is a balance between getting the top singles players and a lot more doubles specialists involved. It could be, it's already an outstanding product, even more of an outstanding product." Asked if she would consider competing next year, Gauff added, "I'm never going to shut anything down. There's definitely a possibility for me to play in the future. New York is always tough for me. But if other slams catch on, I feel like it will be a little bit easier there." Gauff gets her campaign underway on Tuesday, with the likes of Novak Djokovic in action on the opening day. When the US Open rolled around this year, fans were buzzing with speculation. Coco Gauff, the reigning women's singles champion, one of the most electrifying athletes in the sport, and a name synonymous with youthful fearlessness, was missing from one category that tennis enthusiasts thought would suit her perfectly: mixed doubles. It wasn't just casual chatter. For weeks, social media brimmed with fan-generated dream teams. Some wanted to see Gauff partner with Frances Tiafoe, two of America's brightest stars joining forces under the lights of Arthur Ashe. Others lobbied for Ben Shelton, the explosive lefty who seemed to share Gauff's natural flair. A few dared to dream bigger: Novak Djokovic as a veteran doubles partner, or even Rafael Nadal if his body allowed one last dance. Yet, when the entry lists were announced, Coco's name was nowhere to be found. And for a while, the silence only fueled curiosity. Why wouldn't a 21-year-old phenom, in peak form, seize the opportunity to shine on another stage? It wasn't until a quiet press conference, held away from the roaring crowds, in one of those sterile media rooms tucked beneath the stadium, that Coco finally explained herself. "I had to choose between being everywhere and being my best." Gauff leaned back in her chair, braid tips brushing against the collar of her oversized hoodie. She wasn't defensive, but she wasn't casual either. She spoke like someone who had thought about this long before the questions started coming. "People always think more tennis equals more greatness," she said with a soft laugh. "Like if I'm not in singles, I should be in doubles, or if I'm not in doubles, then mixed doubles. And I get it, when you're young, people assume you can do everything all at once. But this year I had to be honest with myself. I had to choose between being everywhere and being my best." Her words hung heavy. The room grew still, reporters scribbling furiously. For Gauff, this wasn't just about skipping an event. It was about boundaries, balance, and the relentless weight of expectation. The weight of a champion. Last year's US Open had been the turning point. Gauff stormed through the draw, defeating Aryna Sabalenka in a pulsating final, becoming the youngest American since Serena Williams to win the title. With that trophy came not just global stardom, but responsibility. "You don't just win a Grand Slam and go back to being regular Coco," she explained. "Suddenly, you're a symbol. Everyone looks at you differently. And the demands are endless: more press, more sponsors, more travel. You wake up and realize, I'm not just playing tennis anymore. I'm managing a life that feels like three people's lives stacked on top of each other." Mixed doubles, in her mind, wasn't simply an extra set of matches. It was an extra weight in a schedule already bursting at the seams. "Singles is my priority. It always will be," she said firmly. "When I step on Ashe for singles, I need to know I've given everything, mentally, physically, emotionally. If I spread myself too thin, then what's the point of any of it?" A private conversation with Venus. Perhaps the most surprising twist in Gauff's explanation was the revelation of a private conversation with Venus Williams, someone she calls a mentor, almost like a second mom in tennis. She told me something that stuck, Coco recalled. You don't have to prove you can do everything, Coco. Just prove you can do the one thing that matters most, and do it better than anyone. Venus herself, a legend in both singles and doubles, understood the allure of variety. But she also knew the cost. Years of balancing singles dominance with doubles campaigns alongside her sister Serena had left scars, physical and emotional. Venus told me, doubles and mixed can give you joy, but they can also take from you if you're not careful. Protect your energy, because energy is the one currency you can't get back. For Coco, that sealed the decision. The temptation of mixed doubles. Still, it wasn't an easy call. The idea of playing alongside Frances Tiafoe had been seriously discussed. We talked about it, Coco admitted with a grin. And honestly, the thought of us feeding off each other's energy, getting the crowd hyped, it sounded like magic. She paused, her smile softening. But then reality hit. Mixed doubles isn't just a fun side gig. It's real competition, with real pressure. If you're going to do it, you can't just show up halfway. And I didn't want to disrespect the game by being there physically but not mentally. A lesson from last season. Gauff reflected on last season, when she experimented with playing both singles and doubles deep into major tournaments. The grind left her drained. There were days I'd play a 3-set singles match, then an hour later, I'd have to be back on court for doubles. I'd tell myself, I'm young, I can handle it. But then the fatigue crept in. Maybe not immediately, but later in the tournament. And you start making small mistakes that cost you big moments. She shook her head, almost as if scolding her past self. That's not how you win slams consistently. That's how you burn out.